Hey Pokemon fans, and welcome to the final modified format Pokemon trading card game, Card of the Day this week. Our modified format is Heart Gold, Soul Silver on, and because I've been talking about other decent performers at the United States National Championships, I thought I'd conclude this week with another solidly performing card. Today's card is Zoroark from the Black and White set. Now Zoroark is a really interesting card. He's got kind of a strange ruling, which I've talked about in the past, but I'll talk about him a little bit more, tell you guys why he was effective, and hopefully give you guys reason to test him out for upcoming tournaments. Now Zoroark is a stage 1, which means that he's fairly faster than some of the big hitter Pokemon, but it's interesting in that you can't really run Zoroark on his own. He relies entirely on the strength of your opponent's Pokemon, which makes him a really good counter card, but not really a very good front-forward strategy. Now let's take a look at the attacks. His first attack for 1 Darkness Energy, Nasty Plot, lets you look through your deck, take a card, and put it on top of your deck. Now this is a pretty good attack if you really need a card on the top of your deck because you've got a horrible hand, but all things considered, you really should be set up by the time that you get any Stage 1 Pokemon out, and unless a Stage 1 Pokemon is offering you Draw or some other kind of consistency, Surge isn't really something that you should be wasting your attack on. By then, you should have already used a Pokemon like Cleffa, Stantler, or Manaphy to set up, or just your regular supporters. Also, because it is that Darkness Energy requirement, and there aren't too many extremely good Darkness Pokemon in the format right now, you usually won't even use that first attack. The real thing of interest, though, is his second one, Foul Play. Now, I've talked about this before in the past, and I'll try and summarize it really quickly for you guys who have already heard it, but here's how Foul Play works. Unless your opponent's attack requires you, says that it's necessary to do the cost of that attack to use it, you don't have to exactly pay that cost. Now I know this sounds really confusing, but here's the big reason that it's used. Against Pokemon like Reshiram, or another example would be Rayquaza Deoxys Legend, when you use your attack, when you're one of those Pokemon, you have to discard Fire Energy as a part of using that attack. However, when you use Foul Play, you do not have to discard Fire Energy if you don't have any Fire Energy attached to Zoroark. This is really good. It means that you can continually use these really high damage attacks for just 1 double colorless energy, dealing 120 or up to 150 damage just by using that 1 counter attack. The ruling is strange. It didn't always work that way, but that's what we have right now, so that's what we have to work with. Pokemon that have high damaging attacks, or really useful attacks, are great for using your Zoroark with. And because he runs on any energy type, you can just attach twice to him instead of using a double colorless. He's really versatile. Here's some of the big reasons that he's used. The first big 2 are just heavy Pokemon that are hard to knock out in one hit otherwise, Reshiram and Zekrom. Zekrom deals 120 damage and 40 to itself, so if you bring up a Zoroark and attack with his attack right away, you'll knock him out pretty easily. Even if it's a clean Zekrom, all you need is a plus power to knock him out, and the same thing goes for Reshiram. And once again, you don't have to discard for Reshiram. However, because the Omega Prime, as I talked about 2 days ago, has become such a huge force in this format, Zoroark has actually become a lot better. For 1 energy, Zoroark copies Omega's attacks, whether you want to snipe 40 to the bench, or deal 70 to the active, except that you don't have to deal with Omega's Pokebody. You don't have to match your opponent's hand when you're using Zoroark. So you can actually use this to a little bit of trickery on your part. While your opponent's trying desperately to match your hand to use the Omega's attacks, you can do things like either play your hand down really low so that it's hard for your opponent to match, or do things to make your hand count really high. Not having to match your opponent's hand can be really great because you can attack with their Omega and maybe leave them in a spot where they can't counter you with their attack. Because of this, he's been really good in the format, and he's just really useful. He's also useful against random attackers like Magnezone if you want to throw 3 of your own energy into the Lost Zone to knock out a big attacker like him. But all in all, you're usually just going to use it against those few case scenarios that I already talked about. However, because those Pokemon are so popular, it makes Zoroark a really good play. Now, as I said, you can't really work Zoroark into anything other than as a side attacker, and even if you are running a heavier line of him, you're going to need another kind of attacker. He's got that fighting weakness, which is really bad against Donphan, an already popular Pokemon, so you're definitely going to need a way to deal with that. Now, as I've talked about before, the 2nd place finisher at this year's United States National Championships just combined a bunch of Stage 1s together, and that's probably the best way to run him right now. He ran Zoroark, Donphan, and Yanmega, so all the Pokemon cover each other's weaknesses while dealing a lot of different damage to a lot of different kinds of Pokemon. Double colorless energy, or just attaching a couple of fighting to Zoroark really isn't that hard, and it makes him a really effective Pokemon. Now, Zoroark doesn't work against everything, but it is good for this format, so for playability, I'm going to give him an 8.5 out of 10. He's really strong against a couple of choice Pokemon, a little weaker against others, but as far as a metagame counter goes, he's really good. As far as artwork goes, I give Zoroark a 6.5 out of 10. I know that might seem a little low given how popular Zoroark is, but if you look at the card, it's really not that exciting. Most of the black and white art is either working off stock art or just very basic pictures because most people are just getting used to these new Pokemon. Now as sets go on in the future, I'm sure we'll get cooler art, and the card will end up looking better. For example, we've already got one promo Zoroark and another one headed up, and I think both of those look better than the one that we've currently got. Thanks for watching today's card of the day. Tune in tomorrow for the Pokemon Fact of the Day, and thanks a ton for watching my videos. Peace.
You want the best tricks? I suggest you profit. You want a mess Brit? I suggest you drop it.
Once we started rolling, you know you can't stop it. Let's go and get some lessons from JWittz and Profit. Yeah.